One idea people have about the homeless is that they could really succeed in life if they would just try more or work harder. While there may be some select cases where this is true, the factors that lead to homelessness are typically far more complicated than a simple unwillingness to work. For many people who eventually become homeless, their lives begin inside the cycle of poverty.
The ability to effectively translate and achieve, move from expectation to realization of one's ability and excellence is heavily rooted in healthy environments of support early on. And those environments of support, from a childhood standpoint, are not about the households that one chooses. It's heavily informed by the household that one happens to be born into, and if one is born into a poverty household, then one is 5 times less likely to experience college graduation. That's not by choice, that's just by structural reality of what a poverty household imposes as constraint upon individuals.
My mom didn't teach us much when we were growing up. You know, we wasn't taught manners and morals and, to want something in life. But I've already put that in my boys. But I would just love for my kids to grow up to be real men, responsible men, strong men. I'm sorry to say it like this, I don't want my boys to be punks out there in the corner. I don't want that for them, so I just want their dreams to come true and to be part of it.
We're seeing a lot of transitional age youth come in. So from ages 18 to 29, those single mothers that are typically have utilized benefits, state benefits, in order to sustain their housing. A lot of our parents enter in with that concept of generational poverty. So we do have families that are entering that I've actually worked with their mother, and now I'm working with their daughters, because they don't know anything outside of the concept of obtain benefits, and that's how you make it.
Not everyone who becomes homeless is born into poverty. Some people have their own individual struggles that prevent the steady income required to maintain a house. Emotional trauma, mental illness, addiction, and even medical crises can create poverty for people who were once able to make ends meet.
There are a set of individual challenges that persons possess that lead to economic vulnerability, and it is that economic vulnerability that then translates to marginal housing situations and potentially eventual homelessness.
The recession really disproportionately affected people who weren't making a lot of money to begin with. And so if you're making $8 an hour and your hours get cut, you literally may not be able to pay the rent, or you're really forced into making some choices like, do I buy medicine or do we pay the rent? Do we let the car payment go, and if I do that, then I can't get to work, and then I'll lose my job. I mean, it puts people in very precarious positions.
Died Valentine's Day of 2008. It's been 5 years now. And immediately when he died, all income stopped. So I applied for the VA survivor benefits, and I hung in my apartment thinking they're going to come anytime. Well, they didn't. So I did go to the veterans and got when he died, February's rent was paid. So the veterans helped me with March and April, and so May came, still no money, and I thought, I can't keep accruing this rent and owe them all this money. So I told them I'm going to have to leave, and I did what I didn't know. They sent me a bill. I told them where I was going. I was going to my sister's house, and they sent me a bill with an extra $435 on there. I said, what is this for? I didn't give them notice. I mean, they knew what I was going through, and I didn't give them notice, and they tacked that. I'm still paying on that.
When a crisis happens to someone who lives on the margins of poverty, the dividing line between financial hardship and homelessness is often the support of family and friends.
But my sister's house, I was welcome there, but my nephew, her son, God, if he ever sees it, he drank, he took drugs, he had a violent temper and went into rages, and he put me out. So I was out there, and then I got an apartment somewhere else, but I could not keep a decent roommate. And finally, and that landlady, bless her heart, she bent over backwards for me, and I finally told her, her name was Holly. I said, Holly, I'm gonna have to go. I can't keep, you've gotta be able to rent this to somebody who can pay you. Well, once again, I was homeless, but like I said, I had my car, and it was a station wagon.
I mean, I could provide food for them and clothing and shoes, whatever they wanted, but I couldn't put a roof over their head. And, you know, places we stayed, like, I moved out of my apartments and moved in with my mom when I gave up my apartment. But my brothers ended up getting me kicked out of there. So I moved in with a family friend named Hector. My brothers ended up getting me kicked out of there. So I went to my sister-in-law's and took care of the kids for 8.5 months. And including my 3 nephews, and my 1 nephew has CP and MS, cerebral palsy and multiple sclerosis. Well, when she come back from working on the road, she was just really disrespectful, and things got really bad. And that's when I ended up at the shelter.
We have moms that were stay-at-home moms, or they're stay-at-home moms because their mother stayed home with them. Moms that are entering in without partners, so there's really no one to lean on. That's another barrier. It's really that removal of the safety net. So the families that we are seeing here are at rock bottom. They don't have the option of engaging with their family members. They don't have the option of engaging with community resources because they were never taught how. So when you see a family here, it's very difficult for them because they are on their own.
When you've experienced a lifetime of marginalization through various forms, having nothing to do with characteristics of choice, it warrants taking into consideration and respecting that yes, some percentage of individuals, when they work harder, will be rewarded in the ways that are consistent with the cliche, pick oneself up by one's bootstraps. But there are so many circumstances and characteristics that are not rooted in choice, effort, and other factors that warrant respect in the recognition of how economic marginalization happens in this country, and how some individuals are simply shut out systematically from effective participation, regardless of how hard they work or try.